Hi guys, I'm Shmi. Hello and welcome back to the channel where you join me today in California for a very special experience with the new Pininfarina Battista, the all-electric hypercar which now has its very distinct pure sound, which is really quite intriguing. Today we're going to take a full look around the car, hop on board for a ride and get a full understanding for what it's all about. Now this particular Battista is the first production model, one of 150 that are going to be made of the fully electric car. There are 4 electric motors, almost 2,000 horsepower, and this one has the full exposed carbon fibre bodywork. But we can have a quick run through of all of the details before jumping into the passenger seat to go out for a ride to experience what the sound of Battista is actually like. Let's start with the walk around to get an overview of some of the details and statistics of Battista, the all-electric hypercar, and this in particular, the first of the 150 production models, and also just take a look at the exposed carbon fibre bodywork. But the Battista features 4 electric motors and a 120 kilowatt hour battery pack. It makes an absolutely enormous 1,918 horsepower, along with 2,300 Newton meters of torque, and as a result boasts some pretty immense acceleration. 0 to 62 miles an hour or 100 kilometers an hour is dispatched in under 2 seconds, and it will go on to a top speed of over 220 miles per hour, over 350 kilometers per hour. That is really very, very fast. But of course, there's no combustion engine, and that would typically mean very little by way of sound, and that is where Pininfarina have wanted to differentiate this car and as a result create its own pure sound. As you look at the design, it's a very pure design, as Pininfarina have always been famed. We do have, as I said, this exposed carbon fibre bodywork, and you can see how the weave has been left to match up from panel to panel. You have that perfect V that runs all the way through the centre. You can see some of the aerodynamic shapes, and you have the active wing here at the rear as well. There's a lot to the design, a lot to the engineering, as you would expect. It is low, it is sleek, but today we're going to be experiencing the sound that Battista makes, and you might be thinking that that's, well, not going to be very much, but this is where it's fascinating because they've worked a lot on this process. So I'm going to be jumping on board with Paolo Dellacha, Chief Product and Engineering Officer from Pininfarina, to experience a bit more in just a moment. Today for the drive, I'm here with Paolo.
Hi team, it's good to have you here. So if you're ready, let's go and let's start the sound.
Definitely, let's have a listen. Now that is one of the strangest sensations. And seeing the active spoiler in action too, not too dissimilar from the volume of an idling combustion engine, but a completely unique audible experience, and that's what Pininfarina have worked so heavily on, as we can now take more of the experience as we go out. So open up the doors, dihedral doors, hinged upwards, have a look at the interior. So take a step inside the carbon fibre tub. Wow, it's very low to the ground here, isn't it?
It is.
Set it right down. Awesome display in front. Close the door for the moment. Here we go then. Some nice air conditioning blasting, compulsory. That's already quite the strange sensation of the acceleration noise. So the sound that we have in here is all down to the different frequencies.
Yes.
It's all 54 kilohertz, playing with the different...
There are many harmonics. Most of it is tuned at this 54 frequency, which is providing a low frequency, which is not very loud, but really coming from the external to the interior of the cabin in a very nice way, little bit taking your stomach and providing a good sensation, which is excitement, but it's also a good feedback of what the car is doing.
We are currently making our way inland, Ferrari 458 heading in the other direction, taking in some more of the details here, but we're heading towards a nice canyon road for an opportunity to experience more of this and to understand more of what the Battista is like. But even just here inside the cabin, Paolo, it's a very nice place.
Yes, it is. Unique design, exceptional design, and also the quality, how much we have used noble material to make this interior, to make it stand for many years. It's only pure carbon, leather and aluminum, and this make it the the overall quality perception of the car feeling really great.
Definitely. So you've got the various carbon fibre elements, the leather, but all of this is aluminium.
Yes, and it's also very pleasant to touch. It is well located to be very ergonomic. All the things that you want to utilize during the driving are in the right place, really accessible. That is what really makes the driving very comfortable. Either you go for a GT kind of driving or more sportier or even track driving.
Definitely. And at the moment we are driving along in Pura mode.
Yes, which is the normal mode, enabling just 800 kilowatt out of the total 1400 kilowatt of the Battista. All the settings are tuned for a softer ride, in this case steering, dampers, not only the e-powertrain response and active aerodynamics, so you can really enjoy the ride in a magnificent way when you are in Pura. And then of course through the drive modes you are able to become more sportier if you like, increase the level of the power, the chassis will become more firm, the EPS calibration much more quick and agile, and the torque vectoring, which is provided by the 4 motors, will start to help you out, increasing the cornering speed and pushing the limit little by little much farther.
Definitely. There are, am I correct, there are 5 different driving modes?
Yes, there are 5 different driving modes. Now we are riding in Pura, which is the normal one. We have Calma, specifically indicated for low adherence and also to increase range quite a lot. Then we have Energica. Energica is the sport mode, and the race mode is called Furiosa. We have a 5th driving mode in order to make the possibility for the customer to make it even more bespoke. And in this 5th drive mode, which is called Carattere, you can change the setting of the various software to basically create your own way of driving.
Okay, I understand. And as you go between the different driving modes, of course it changes the sound that you hear, and I notice, and maybe we could talk about this now, that you have this gentle noise in the background, and as you accelerate it gets a little bit more lively, it gets a little bit more exciting.
Yes, as I was saying, besides being pleasant, and it has to be pleasant, not to be too loud, but still very audible, taking you really, providing the 5th sense in the driving experience of the vehicle. It has to provide also to you with the feedback, with the connection of what the car is doing, how you are driving, how fast you are accelerating. And this is why sound is so important, especially when you have such an amount of power to provide to you a really ultimate driving experience.
And you're very aware, of course, as you accelerate a little, the electric motor sound that you have around. But it's this, I'm not sure how best to describe it, it's this almost slightly throbbing hum in the background that gives it this characteristic.
Yes, we could call it that way. Either we call it the pure sound of Battista, is something that really takes you and really want to make you drive much more.
Okay. Yeah, I'll start to hear and feel a little bit more of it, especially as we get up shortly towards a nice meandering road. And look at the mirror design as well with the thin arm, but obviously also for the aerodynamic elements. Some very nice touches, like the design and pattern here, the stitching and the perforations on the leather, even the Pininfarina embossing of the logo there on the dashboard as well. We are making our way now slightly up the hill. I suppose it's time to change the driving mode.
Yes, Tim, if you want, we are ready and we can pull up from Calma to Energica.
So it's an Energica. Colours change. Wow. The wing is up as well. And the torque and the acceleration is quite significant. And the sound changes, it gets a little bit more lively. This is the thing, we're changing our perspective on noise, on sound. It's very flat as we go up through the corners here. Wow. As we're going through the corners then, in this kind of environment, that's where obviously the torque vectoring is very much working.
Yes, it is, and it's really the ideal torque vectoring. You have 4 independent motors each one autonomously accelerating or decelerating the wheels, providing the torque and the power that you need to have a very agile driving, especially when cornering in and out of the curves. The car can basically bring to saturation the 4 tires independently, and this will give you the possibility to have a very progressive understeering curve and increase the limit much higher in terms of overall lateral acceleration.
So it can push the outside wheel more if it needs to, for example.
Yes, and it's also very easy, safe, besides being much quicker and agile than any other vehicle.
The acceleration feel of an electric hypercar is really quite a bizarre feeling. And the sound changes, of course. It gets a little bit faster paced, it gets a little bit more lively, a little bit louder as well. It almost feels like there's a combustion engine of sorts making a different noise, but it has that sense of there being something behind you, right? Like a mid-engined car or something along those lines. Sneak a peek through the view behind us. Above Energica then, we have Furiosa.
Furiosa, yes, is the race mode where the full power of Battista can be enhanced.
So that's where you have your 1,400 kilowatts or your 1,918 horsepower.
And 2,300 newton per meter torque.
All of the torque, and that's a rotation of the toggle that you have to your left side.
So, you want to try?
Definitely, yeah. Let's
go.
Experience the change. Very fast. It's such a different sensation, a different feeling. Obviously being in the race mode on some slightly bumpy roads. Certainly conscious, but it's actually awesome to experience how much more it feels now like a track car.
You can definitely.
Completely different feel. One thing we haven't done very much is listen to the sound effectively from the outside, like in a more traditional sports car, with the window a touch down. Obviously, over the wind noise, we can hear more of that. And you get this very strange sensation for the sound from the outside, murmuring away. At the moment then, we're in Energica.
Yes, Energica.
But if you turn it up now into
Furiosa,
it changes quite significantly.
It does, yes.
I'm not sure if the camera could really pick up that change, but the noise just gets more involving. It's quite a unique approach, because this isn't something that you really experience in other electric cars or anything, but like when you have valves on an exhaust system on a combustion engine.
Yes, that's what we are basically wanted exactly to do by following what the inverter are basically commanding the motors to deliver in terms of torque and power. So sound has to follow what the car is actually delivering to the road.
Yeah. And then the acceleration is just mind-boggling. Instant torque, lots of torque. It's crazy.
It's mine.
Yes, big smiles. And then when you turn it back down again to the different modes.
Okay, we can go back to Energica.
Yeah, it instantly gets softer.
Yes, and you can go to Pura, which is back to our normal mode. Then we can go back to our soft and smooth ride.
Yeah. Quite fascinating. Totally unique approach to this. We're now up in the hills, the sunshine is out, and the Battista is looking stunning in the exposed carbon fibre. A fun fact for you as well, this is by far the most powerful Italian car ever. Nearly 2,000 horsepower, but let's have a little bit more of a look around it before hearing it in a moment as well, driving past to get a sense of the sound. Of course, at the front you have a lot of openings for the cooling, for the airflow management, going through the car, over the car, around the car, this distinctive visual cue around the front, that light bar, but obviously the history and tradition of Pininfarina, their work across many decades, working with the automotive industry and more industries at that as well. As we come around towards the back, you can see more of these aerodynamic elements. In fact, back here at the rear deck, and you can probably hear the sound of the car, you have the heart of it with a different light sequence depending on the charging status and what's going on with it. You have the flap back here as well that opens and closes. But let's take a listen to it going past. To quickly show a little more of the interior, back here actually you've got the Battista signature. The car is named after Battista Pininfarina. You have the door handle just on the inside here, give that a press and they open up. Well, we can talk a little bit more about the screens, the displays and the different driving modes. It's very much driver focused, all of the lovely details on the slightly squared off steering wheel with the 3 digital displays. The left side is effectively your different driving modes, your driving information. You have the control selector over here on the door to go through the different driving modes, rotating that. In the center, you have the speedometer, your driving mode display, and your remaining range and key information that you would need. And then to the right, the navigation and the various different elements of the infotainment as well, having some controls to go through those. This particular car has the blue Alcantara and the blue stitching to contrast against the exterior. Some very nice details and finishing, as you can see throughout, all of the carbon fibre details, for example, as well. And even up on the roof section also with this perforation with the triangular embroidery that they've added. And all of this is housed within the carbon fibre monocoque, the carbon fibre tub. You can see the seating position actually has your hips right down effectively at the same height as your heels in the footwell. And this is designed for the housing of the 120 kilowatt hour battery pack that it has to be able to offer the range and the performance through those 4 electric motors and the very clever torque vectoring system that this car actually offers. Close the door back down into place. The view from the driver's seat though, just to show you a little bit more, including the interface that we have here. And at the moment, it's just showing some highlights and the stats of the various different driving modes. We're actually in calmer at the moment. And of course, to change those is through this toggle. So if we go up into Energica, you can hear the sound comes on. And then if we go into Furiosa, the wing comes up, as you can see there in the mirror. It all gets a little bit more lively and obviously shows you that in the center. If you go into settings here, this is where you can do, for example, your seat controls. This is all done through the digital interface that you have here, the easy entry option. You can go back. This is also where you control and move the steering wheel, for example, all of which obviously you can save and set to your driver profile and go through all of your other settings through that screen as well, which simultaneously loaded up the settings on the main display so that you can change various different elements here. Now, one thing that's quite clever is that the interface is created so that from the driver's position where the steering wheel sits, you don't lose any information actually on the display, unlike say in the Porsche 911 992 where you can't see some of the displays and information which are hidden behind the steering wheel view. And obviously you have a lot more controls around as well. And if you pop this back into say calmer, the wing very quickly drops back down into position as well. And when you're setting the driver's seat, the passenger seat is also done through this screen. You've got the digital rear view mirror, as you can see, looking backwards, given the limited view that you directly have behind you. There's a glove box tucked in underneath, storage area just here. This is actually for putting the key. That will marry the key to the car when you're sat inside here. Your audio control, the Pininfarina flags there as well, USB port, a number of other just nice displayed areas with your traditional buttons along the center. Got a bit more of a feel for what it's like from the driver's position. Great view out the front over the scuttle, over where the wheels are positioned, and a really good view as well in the mirror. To be honest, the way they sit quite high and out gives you a good perspective of the car's position and a very open feel, the glass coming up high in front of you, and really a very low seating position, a very sporty seating position. But as we've seen, the car, when you go through these different driving modes, and obviously you can also go into the configurable mode, offers very different driving experiences depending how you've got it set up. It is fascinating to hear that as the car goes past with this new characteristic, a new approach that differentiates the Battista from other electric hypercars, and I think gives us a bit of a sense as well of some of this direction, introducing a character to the car through the sound that's created specifically for it. In this case, using the different frequencies, the different 54 kilohertz brackets up to 432 to create this sound. And I'm not a sound engineer, but from an experience point of view, it just gives you that touch more than you would have from complete silence. The car is here, currently murmuring away in the background. Of course, you can opt to turn it off should you wish, but I think it's one of the unique elements about Battista, but it really perhaps needs to be experienced. Because this is new, I can understand that through the video, it might not fully translate in the way that I hear it. For now though, to experience it for the first time has been fascinating. I think the full carbon fibre body looks brilliant on the Pininfarina history, and of course this is their first full automotive product, the Pininfarina Battista. I'm looking forward to seeing as the cars go through the very final stages, more testing and the likes to get everything fully finalised, and then they'll be heading to customers with a maximum of 150 to be produced. For now though, a big thanks to the Pininfarina team for the opportunity to experience the car today and to be able to share it with you as well from here in the sunshine in California. That's it for now though. Thank you very much for watching. As always guys, I appreciate your support an awful lot, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!